Hello and welcome to Business. This week on Viewer Television, my name is Joy Malik. And with me in the studio is my beautiful co-host.
Thank you very much, Joy. I am Wokocha Shame.
Now, over the next half an hour, we'll be looking beyond the business headlines. We're giving you in-depth perspective on the stories that are affecting all of us, from Naira redesign, crude oil production, and so on. But before we give you the story in details, let's go on a quick break, and when we return, Business This Week continues. So stay tuned.
Before you came round, my heart would never beat like
The story of a charmer and his crush.
Before you came round, I was ready to slow down. Before you came round, I was heading for a small disaster. Before you came round, I was ready to blow me down.
Tat Fragrance, the new luxury fragrance for men and women.
All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Business This Week. Now, coming up on today's show, as always, we'll start with Naira redesign. After that, we'll take a look at crude oil production. Then we'll take it to petrol price, still on the oil sector. Then we'll talk about forex inflow. Then we'll talk about our foreign exchange market. Then we'll talk about gas pipeline projects. We'll also talk about power sector. And last but not the least, railway services.
Okay, yes. But first, let's start with Naira redesign. Well, we all know that the Central Bank of Nigeria has ordered deposit money banks and other financial institutions to ensure that weekly over-the-counter cash withdrawals, individuals,
yeah.
yes, and corporate entities do not exceed about 100,000 naira and 500,000 naira. Now, my concern is for the unorganized informal sector. How quickly can it adapt to this new reality? You know, as much as I commend CBN for this policy, I still have my worries for the woman selling ogu and fish in the market. Well, our aged parents at home, I mean the local farmers in the rural areas, how would this policy affect them, Chinwe?
Very good question. Now, Joy, recall since the launch of the new Naira notes,
Yeah.
a total of about 8 billion Naira consisting of 700,000 transactions has passed through eNaira platform.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, which I would say is impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, in my opinion, I would say this policy is targeted towards politicians.
Well,
Yeah, you know
yes.
politicians that fly cash around
Yes.
whenever, especially during
During
elections.
elections, yes.
Yeah, this will actually stiffen that. Plus, this redesigned Naira, you know, those that have stacked up cash
Yeah.
will have to deposit, and once deposited, you have limits to your withdrawals. Now, funny thing is, I heard the withdrawal comes in 200 Naira notes.
Yeah. Very
I mean,
funny.
it's very funny indeed. I mean, it seems the CBN governor is up against the politicians,
Politicians.
and not even the masses. All right, that's that on the new Naira, the redesign and policy.
But then, apart from, I think, what do you have to say about the women, like the market women that sell ugu? Do you think this is actually going to affect them?
Now, the thing is, there is an advantage to, and also there is a disadvantage to every policy. But I feel, your question is if it will affect them. Of course, it will affect them, because most of them do not even know how to use the electronic media.
Yes.
How much more use apps, bank apps on their phone. Most of them do not even have bank accounts. So how then are they? Well, they will have to adapt, because you can't.
I think change
This
is
is
very
the policy, and
yes.
according to the CBN and the Nigerian government, it's not like we have a choice.
Change is
You can't
consistent.
object.
Well, yes.
All right, yeah. Let's take a look at crude oil production. Now, Nigerians crude oil production is actually recovering. I mean, climbing back to about 1.6 million
Yeah.
barrels. Yeah, crude oil theft affects all architecture that funds the country.
Yes.
As well, when the oil theft reaches its peak, everything, including gas production, is affected. I mean, as at today, oil production is at 1.59 million barrels, if I'm correct, per day.
Yes. And it's a simple fact
Yeah.
that even when you spend money from an account and you are not added to it, it will deplete.
It will deplete, of
Yes,
course.
for you to increase ECA, the oil price must rise above the budgeted price.
Yeah.
If it does not, nothing goes in. Also, if what you are spending is higher than what goes in, it's depletes. We cannot continue to watch our oil production crumble.
Yeah, we cannot.
We have security agencies in which the Navy, the police, and everyone within that space should be involved.
I agree.
We also have the regulators. At this stage, all regulators are made to fully be part of the effort.
Yes.
Third is the operator's angle. And of course, all operators are 100% involved in tackling oil theft.
Exactly. Everybody, at
Yes.
this point, all hands should be on deck.
Yes.
We need all the forces we can get in tackling this oil theft, because once our oil is affected, every other thing in the market is affected.
Yeah.
Now, the other angle we should look at is the community angle,
Yeah.
in which all impacted communities have to be brought under the umbrella of a structured arrangement in the collective effort against oil theft.
Yes.
Exactly. Now, in all these efforts, three things are major. This would detect, deter, and respond appropriately in cases of oil theft.
Yes. Well, away from that, still on the oil sector, let's move over to petrol price. And as queues for fuel continue to grow in most parts of the country, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority insists that there are plans by the federal government to increase the price of petrol. Well, consequently, marketers and the general public are also advised to avoid panic buying, diversion of products, and hoarding.
Yeah, but now the question is that really the case out there?
Yeah.
Now, according to a seller in a satellite town of Lagos, he said they sell a product about 250 naira, that's before now.
Yeah.
Now, as the product has increased at fuel station, they do not have a choice but to sell at an increased price of 350 naira per liter. So now the NNPC, in efforts to curtail this hassle, is doing their part. They have programmed vessels and trucks to unconstrained depots, and massive loadouts from depots in various states are closely being monitored as well. What this means is that the fuel challenge we have here in Abuja is currently an impact of the challenges recorded in Lagos.
Yeah. Well, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, they also blame the situation on the distribution crisis caused by vandalism of the depots belonging to the NNPC.
Exactly.
Well, I think maybe that's true, maybe it is not true. Now moving over to
let's take a look at forex inflow. Now, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has expressed concern that the slow growth in the economy is hindering the prospect of establishing a fiscal space and buoyant foreign reserve. At a real GDP value of 18.96 trillion naira, the latest performance signifies a shortfall of 1.78% from 4.03% real GDP growth recorded in the third quarter of the previous year. It also indicates a 1.29% decline from the value of economic activities recorded in the second quarter of 2020.
Yeah, this year, yes.
This year, yeah.
Therefore, the continuous downturn of the economy has further validated the urgent need to release an updated unemployment rate that corresponds with the current economic situation. You know, the last published figure was in December 2022. That was 2 years ago at 33.33. I know we know analysts had projected that the country's rate of unemployment is well above the 40% mark.
Thereabouts.
Now, you know, jettison the failing hand peg policy had established a clear and transparent market framework to guide the interventions of the CBN in the forex market. Synergistically align monetary and fiscal policies while also curbing fiscal deficit by the gradual removal of fuel subsidy backed by appropriate palliatives for the poor. Well, away from that, let's move over to foreign exchange market and how the value of naira to dollar fell from I think 196.92 in June 2015 to 414.72 in June 2022. That they say worsening Nigerians' foreign debt burden. Now, you know, this will impose a huge debt service on the economy.
It will.
Yes, particularly at the period when we have low revenue from oil sales.
Yeah.
If the revenue from oil sales does not improve, then the government will be struggling to meet the debt service obligation to foreign lenders.
In fact, Joy, this rate was 1.5 times higher than the long-term rate of the currencies
Yes,
of other
exactly.
emerging markets.
Exactly.
And developing economies at about 7.2%. And sub-Saharan Africa at 7% over the same period. Nigeria's long-term rate of currency depreciation was 1.5 times higher than both EMDE and SSA 7%.
Yeah.
Now, given limited availability of long-term data, it is difficult to estimate the exact reasons why this happened.
Yeah.
It
It
is.
is very difficult.
All right, away from that, let's take a look at gas pipeline projects.
Yes.
Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has signed 5 memoranda of understanding with the national oil companies and relevant entities of 5 African countries on the Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline project. Now, we know from inception of the project to this stage, concerted efforts have been made by the government of Nigeria and the Kingdom of
Yes.
Morocco, which led to the very commendable achievements recorded thus far.
And you know, we know that natural gas play a crucial role as the transition fail. On our path to net zero, gas will support the establishment of base load energy capacity,
Yeah.
stabilization of the grid to allow the integration of renewables at scale and addressing our clean cooking fuel deficit in the form of liquefied petroleum gas. You know, NNPC Limited on their part will facilitate the continuous supply of gas and provide other enablers such as the required land for the first compressor station to be deployed in Nigeria, which is among the 13 stations marked along the pipeline route. Well, away from that, let's move over to power sector and how the federal government said a total of 3.24 million buildings in about 3,937 settlements have been mapped and currently connected to the country's power grid.
Now, I think the data provides information for electrification, planning, least cost of electrification, electricity access, and decision making. Exactly. Now, all this cause liquidity issues in the sector and subsequently lead to inadequate power to meet the need of the people.
I know the council is expected to design an action log to track the implementation of the decision and directives at the meeting and ensure policy initiatives will make available and sustainable power supply within the shortest possible time. You know, while some of the construction works are ongoing, others are at different stages of completion.
Yeah, now let's take a look at railway services. You know, amid tight security on the Abuja-Kaduna railway corridor, there was a very low passenger turnout on Monday. You know, a friend of mine even boarded the train to KD that same Monday, and she said there were no fears at all,
Oh,
according to
wow.
her. Yeah,
Wow.
I applaud her morale.
Because I actually do not, I do not have that.
Don't see
that, yes, I
yourself
don't see myself
at this time.
embarking on
Honestly,
such
I
journey.
applaud her morale.
Wow.
She said there was no fear. As a matter of fact, she slept during the trip.
Wow.
How comfortable, how convenient.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Now, I also learned that they have improved services, which includes the availability of e-tickets.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Yeah,
they now
wow.
use online ticketing.
Okay.
Yeah, the availability of e-ticket plus, they now use a machine to check in.
Okay.
Instead of the initial
Yes,
old
yes,
way
yes,
of
yes.
collecting hard paper and all that, stamping it. They also said these machines are also used to check the barcode to confirm that you are the actual owner of this ticket.
Yeah, and not just
I
that.
think I would
yes.
a step in the right direction. I would say at least
Yes,
our
yes,
railway
yes.
sector has improved.
Well, yes, not just that. Adequate security personnel are said to be on ground.
Exactly,
and on
that's
board.
very, very
Yes,
important.
very important.
That's very, very
From
important.
takeoff to the end of each journey. Plus, the presentation of NIN.
Okay.
You also provide your NIN. Yes, it's also helpful to check security. Although safety is off the lodge. Yes, but
Exactly.
I can say safety for now is guaranteed, and we sincerely hope that they will sustain it.
Exactly, we do hope so.
We do hope so. Well, you're still watching Business This Week on Viewer Television. We have a guest in the studio with us today, but let's go on a quick break, and when we return, Business This Week continues. So stay tuned.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm at the Envoy Hotel, Diplomatic Drive 305, here for a business weekend. It's been an amazing stay. Conference hall and business facilities here are stylish and innovative. The Envoy Hotel is luxury, esoteric, opulent, for ultimate comfort.
For the world's most discerning travelers, we are more than just a place to stay. We are an icon of comfort, style, and thoughtful luxury. We are Envoy Hotel.
All right, welcome back. This is Business This Week on Viewer Television. Now, like my colleague said, we'll have a guest. on the show today. Now, joining us today is Obinna Onongwa, CEO, Cargo Worth Alliance Limited.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Now we understand Cargo Worth Alliance and Logistics Limited is an international freight forwarding and shipping agency.
Yes.
That's all I know about Cargo Worth. Now, for the benefit of our viewers, Mr. Obinna, can you explain more about Cargo Worth?
Yeah, Cargo Worth Line Logistics Limited was established in 2015, and our scope of work covers air freight, sea freight, logistics. Also, one of the advantages of clients or customers using our services, is number one, we have a worldwide network whereby we can pick up shipment from any location around the world, custom clear and deliver to your doorstep. So this is one of the advantages our customers or our clients will have. Again, we do door-to-door shipping, also transport shipment from any part of Nigeria. And again, we have a lot of challenges customers have these days using fraudulent agents. We have so many advantages. We have a location where you can visit us, or also go through our website to see what we are doing. So I will encourage customers and encourage other people to patronize us, at least to see what our services looks like. So for us, there is an advantage using Cargo Worth Alliance and Logistics Limited. Thank you very much.
Well, so now a couple of years back, COVID-19 came with its setbacks. Then there was recession, and now dollar rates. How has this affected your normal business routine?
Yeah, Cargo Worth Line Logistics Limited was established one issue, and it affected our business so much because most of the importers or most of our clients were not able to travel outside Nigeria during this period, and this affected the business, in so many ways. So globally, not only in Nigeria, even most of our partners worldwide complained too. So it was a general issue, but as time goes on, we started, coping again. So for us, this is not only an issue of Nigeria, but it's a global problem. Coming to dollar issue you mentioned, yes, you remember that whenever there is, increase in dollar rate, normally it must affect products in the market, must affect, there will be low import because majority of the importers will be waiting for the dollar to come down. And at the end of the day, you discover that whenever there is a dollar rise, it must bounce back to the final consumer. So globally, if there's any issue regarding this, it must affect the agents and importation. Thank you.
Now, what can you say, Obinna, that is the major challenge facing your sector?
Yeah, so much appreciate this particular. Like the last question you asked about increase in dollar, this is one of the challenges we have that affects importation in Nigeria. Like I said earlier, whenever there is increase in dollar, it will affect importation, and if there's not much import, the agent has nothing to do because we rely on the importers. So this is one of the big challenge we have. Another challenge we also face is some items being classified as prohibited or contraband. So it's a very big issue. Majority of those items that are being classified as contraband, many of them is not being Nigerian government and our people are not producing. So you discover that this affects even the old woman in the village. Example, when you say rice is a contraband, cannot bring in rice, begin to ask yourself a question: how many are we producing in Nigeria? Recently, farmers are not going to their farms again because of insecurity. So when you say there will be no importation of rice, what will people do? This is why you see today cost of rice is going up every day. So I will appeal to the government to look at all this. Most of these items that are being classified as contraband should be looked into, so that people will begin to import them. There will be food in the land, and things will begin to move.
Okay, Mr. Obina, and finally, if the dollar rate does not stabilize soon, what do you think would be the fate of the country in 10 years regarding importation and exportation?
This is another. Say this. You are talking of 10 years. Yeah, someone appreciate this particular question. Talk of today, tomorrow, or months. In fact, the dollar increase is affecting every sector of this. We have to be truthful in this. You cannot go to the market now and buy things, 4 times increment of maybe last month or last 2 months because of the dollar increase. Anybody you go to now, they will tell you dollar is high, dollar is high. So we begin to see that this will affect everybody in this country if this is not reduced. I think the central bank or other authorities should look into this and see how all this can be curtailed, so that at least price of food or all these items in the market will go down, and there will be, once the dollar rate is high too, like we have said earlier, time and time over, there will be less importation. And once there's less importation, that means the materials they have at the market earlier will increase in price. So, for me, the government should look into this. Even if not in this administration, the incoming administration should know what they will do, at least to help people. Majority of people are suffering in this country. And, every day you see people, there's anger everywhere. So this is what, it does not affect.
Well, on that note, Mr. Tony, CEO, Cargo World Alliance. Mr. Obinara, thank you for joining us today. We wish to see you on the show next time.
Exactly. And that's a wrap on business this week. See you same time, same station next week. Bye
for now.